Envision a silent digital coliseum, where algorithms forged in Silicon Valley labs and Beijing bunkers clash as the new gladiators of global power, dictating the fate of economies, elections, and empires in 2025 and beyond. This isn't mere tech hype, it's the algorithmic arms race, a shadow war where AI emerges as the ultimate geopolitical scepter, reshaping superpowers from the code up. As U.S. export controls throttle China's chip access and Beijing's DeepSeek models challenge OpenAI's throne, the stakes soar. Trillions in economic dominance, AI-fueled militaries outpacing human generals, and a race to the cliff toward superintelligence that could rewrite humanity's script. From Musk's Neuralink, merging minds with machines, to Thiel-backed Palantir scripting, operating systems for reality, AI isn't a tool, it's the throne, fueling everything from Tesla's autonomous fleets to Huawei's quantum grids. Yet, as Rand warns, AI's limit bias, black box opacity layer atop old power structures, amplifying chaos rather than crowning kings. In this 2025 to 2030 sprint, where Stargate's $500 billion U.S. infrastructure clashes with China's Made in China 2025 fusion of AI and Belt and Road, the question thunders: will algorithms anoint democratic innovators or authoritarian overlords, or unravel us all in unintended digital Armageddon? Boot up the battlefield with us. The Algorithmic Awakening. From silicon to sovereignty, AI's geopolitical ascent traces to the mid-2010s, but 2025 marks ignition. The U.S.-China duopoly, 90% of frontier models, fuels a digital Cold War, per experts, where compute becomes the new uranium. Biden's 2022 export controls on NVIDIA GPUs, tightened in 2025 under Trump's deregulation blitz, choked China's AI ascent as MIC's rumored 5nm chips lag, but Huawei's 910C shipments defy bans, per clip. Beijing retaliates with data localization and algorithm registration, weaving AI into digital sovereignty via Made in China 2025 $10 billion for AI by 2030, blending economic might with military edge. The EU carves a third path. The 2024 AI Act, enforced 2025, mandates trustworthy AI with €1 billion for ethical models, prioritizing bias audits over speed, per Northwestern Symposium. India hedges with its 2025 AI mission, $1.2 billion for inclusive growth, embedding privacy amid U.S.-China crossfire. Russia's Putin eyes AI as world ruler, but sanctions hobble its lag. UAE's MGX, with Trump's 2025 visit, funnels $100 billion into neutral hubs. Chatter echoes AI's the new OPEC. Compute is the oil. By 2026, Stargate's $500 billion U.S. superclusters OpenAI Oracle. SoftBank could lock 70% frontier compute, per Wikipedia. But China's renewable AI grids gigawatts by 2030 counter with scale. The Awakening, algorithms as sovereignty nations coding their fates, where data is the new domain. AI's arsenal, from cyberspies to killer code. Algorithms aren't passive. They're the sharpest blades in the geopolitical forge. In 2025, U.S. DARPA's AI drones swarm Ukraine proxies, per Solace Global, predicting strikes with 95% accuracy outpacing Russia's hypersonics. China's PLA integrates DeepSeek for cognitive domain ops, algorithmic psyops flooding X, with tailored disinformation, swaying elections from Taiwan to U.S. midterms, per Geopolitical Monitor. Palantir's Gotham, now in 2025's $10 billion DOD contracts. Scripps Reality OS, fusing satellite feeds with social graphs for predictive policing, from Gaza borders to Capitol riots. By 2026, autonomous lethal systems U.S. Reaper drones with AI pilots. China's sharp sword swarms escalate the algorithmic arms race, per Rand, where code kills faster than code breaks. Economic fronts, AI tariffs, U.S. chips, acts $52.7 billion, rebuilds fabs, but China's $150 billion big fund 3.0 counters with 7nm sovereignty by 2027. Soft power surges. EU's trustworthy AI exports ethical models to Africa, hedging U.S.-China duopoly, per Northwestern. X-Rants, AI drones equals nuclear winter 2.0. The arsenal, algorithms as omniscient spies, omnipotent warriors. Geopolitics coded in binary, where one glitch sparks global fire. The innovation imperative, algorithms as economic emperors beyond battlefields. AI crowns, economic Caesars. U.S. deregulation under Trump's 2025 blitz $500 billion. Stargate unleashes private behemoths like OpenAI, projecting 35% CAGR to 2030, per Medium. China's fusion of AI with Belt and Road $10 trillion infrastructure by 2030 exports harmonious models, per Presenza, blending surveillance with 6G for 1.4 billion users. EU's €1 billion ethical AI fund prioritizes human-centric, GDP boosts 20% productivity gains by 2030, per OECD. India's $1.2 billion mission hedges with inclusive AI training 1 million developers by 2026, per PIB. Russia's lag sanctions cap, compute pushes, hybrid warfare, AI deepfakes swaying EU votes, per foreign policy. XAIS, the new oil nations, drilling data, deserts. By 2030, AI could add $15.7 trillion to GDP, per PwC. But bifurcated, U.S. innovation race yields 40% share, China's state sprint, 30% tilting trade wars into code crusades. The imperative algorithms as emperor's prosperity programmed, where one model's edge eclipses armies. Billionaire blueprints, Musk, Thiel, and the mogul matrix tycoons architect the race. Musk, SXAI, $6 billion valuation, 2025, merges Grok with Tesla bots for truth-seeking AGI by 2027, per his X-rants, fueling Neuralink's brain AI symbiosis for elite edge. Thiel's Palantir, $100 billion market cap scripts Gotham for DoD. Per Globe Newswire, outfitting Reapers with predictive kill chains. Bezos Anthropic hedges with $4 billion constitutional AI, per Calypso AI, eyeing ethical exports to EU allies. Altman's OpenAI's target $500 billion by 2020, 9 partners trump for U.S. supremacy, per Wikipedia. China's Pony AI, backed by $8 billion, races Baidu's Ernie for autonomous PLA swarms, per AltTech. Musk versus DeepSeek billionaires betting on binary gods. By 2030, their matrix $1 trillion VC pour could crown Aggie overlords, but biases bake in biases. Per Medium, the blueprints. Moguls as matrix makers, algorithms as their algorithmic heirs, shadows in the code, bias, black boxes, and the butterfly effect algorithms cast long shadows. 2025's deepfakes, China's TikTok psyops in U.S. elections. Per Presenza Road Trust. Per RAND's cognitive warfare. Bias amplifies. U.S. facial rec misfires 35% on dark skin. Per Northwestern, China's social credit grids entrench surveillance. Black boxes breed blunders. A 2026 U.S. drone glitch in simulations sparks flash wars. Per Substack, ethical fault lines, EU's AI Act bans high-risk uses by 2026, but U.S. deregulation invites algorithmic inequality. Per Medium, XAIS, butterfly effect code, chaos in geopolitics. By 2030, unchecked race risks, existential glitches. Per Jeffrey Miller superintelligence as cliff-edge the shadows, codes unintended empires bias as boomerang. Opacity as Oracle of Doom, the geopolitical gridlock, treaties, tariffs, and the treaty to come. Gridlock grips the race. 2025's U.S. Senate mandates NVIDIA priority for Americans, per co-base as algorithmic walls. EU's €202 million AI convention sets global norms, per Northwestern, but China's non-signatory status fragments enforcement. India's neutral hubs $10 billion by 2027 mediate, per AI Frontiers. XAI treaties or tariffs codes Cold War. By 2030, AUNAI Accord could cap military models, but U.S.-China vetoes loom, per RAND. The gridlock algorithms in limbo innovation, chained to accords unborn, the horizon, algorithms authoring empires. By 2030, AI could add $15.7 trillion to GDP, per PwC. But bifurcated U.S. 40% via deregulation, China's 30% via state sprint India, EU splitting the rest. AGI by 2027 to 2030 risks, off-cliff rushes, per Miller superintelligence as singularity or suicide, hybrids emerge, EU-India ethical alliances, per Medium, XAIS in-game code, crowns or crashes, the horizon, algorithms as authors empires scripted in silicon, where one line of code rewrites the world. Conclusion, code that could code the end. AI and geopolitics, the algorithmic arms race from 2025's bans to 2030. SAGI is the Matrix S, Ma on Power S throat. Squeezing economies for Musk's metaverses, Thiel's, truths, and DeepSeek's domains. Quadrillions in code crowded value promise utopia, but biases and blackouts whisper apocalypse. Will treaties tame the algorithms, or will the race rewrite rivals into irrelevance? The circuit's hum of hegemony's hacked hand, the coders who compile them. If this binary blitzkrieg boots your brain, like the algorithm, drop your code crack in comments. Subscribe to debug more digital dominions.